Joining me now is political strategist Yaron Finkelstein, who served as advisor to Scott Morrison during his prime ministership. You probably have a bit of PTSD today, Yaron, but you sit in a very comfortable position where you are this time around. All care, no responsibility, I'm sure.
True.
So let's talk about what we've seen already this morning. We're going to hear from Peter Dutton in around 45 minutes' time, probably a little bit earlier. We have heard from Anthony Albanese. We've heard his pitch. With your political antenna, what do you think Anthony Albanese's biggest weakness and biggest strength is going into this campaign?
Sure, it's a good way to think about it. The weakness is clear that voters want change. It doesn't mean that it's to change the government. That'll be Peter Dutton's job, to persuade them that the change they need is to change the government. And so he has that hanging around him where voters are genuinely saying, I don't like where things are at. And we've talked about the grumpy voter. That's a real challenge for Anthony Albanese. And as we know, it's a reason why they are in the polls where they are. Strengths, incumbency, without a doubt. And, turfing out of government after one term is a big call, hasn't happened since 1931. So he will probably be able to ask for them to stick the course. You'll hear a lot of that. And he'll be trying to demonstrate to them that he can change, that they're doing enough to be the change that they clearly want. So that's the good and the bad for Anthony Albanese.
And for Peter Dutton, strength and weakness?
Well, the strength is that he's on the side of many voters in the sense that they do want change. As I said, they aren't happy. Peter Dutton does have a very simple narrative, and that is, and you'll hear it again and again, that are things better today than they were 3 years ago, and we know the answer to that, and that's why you'll hear him say it a lot. Now, his challenge from there is to persuade them that he offers the change they want and that their lives will be better, just a little bit better if they go with him. It's a modest, not so ambitious ask of the voter, but it is also what we saw in the United States, that on balance the voters went one way because they thought their lives would be a little bit better. Remember, every election is a vote on the future, not the past. The past is just proof of what you're capable of in the future. So that's why we've got to keep thinking, what is it that they're offering to make people feel that their lives will be better over the next 3 years?
What's the line that's really going to cut through from Peter Dutton's perspective? We heard a bit of a preview last night. This is a sliding doors moment. Are you really better off than you were 3 years ago? We need to get back on track. Does that all cut through? Because they're all lines that have all been done to death, to be honest.
Yeah, well, sometimes there's not a lot that's new in politics. It's part of the game. But what he is tapping into is the answer to that question. And when you ask it, you think, well, no. Now, it doesn't mean you necessarily blame the government for all that, but the answer clearly is we are not better off than we were 3 years ago. So he will use that, and it's a reasonable way to frame what you want to do about the future. With your vote, what do you want the next 3 years to be? Yeah. The challenge, obviously, is that Labor will try and persuade voters that Peter Dutton represents a risk. They'll try and find a series of policy areas that makes the change too great a risk. And so it's all about change. Who can sell their version of change? That's what it comes down to more than anything.
Yeah, what about the tax debate as well? I mean, Labor really set a trap for the coalition, one that they refused to walk into. But how hard is it for Peter Dutton and the coalition now going into this campaign? Because they've got to get detailed. I mean, the headlines are that Labor is going to have lower income taxes into the future. The headline from the coalition is, but we're going to give you more instantly. What works?
Well, we actually heard on one of the Vox Pops out of the Northern Territory a gentleman who said, when will politicians start fixing the real problems? And I think that there's really something in that. And so that's Peter Dutton's opportunity to lay out more of that argument, that they're focused on making sure that we're not just putting through band-aid solutions on cost of living. Relief is only, it's nice, it's a salve, but who is actually tackling the bigger issues? Who's going to fix the problem rather than treat the symptoms? And so that's his opportunity. And look, one thing I'd say to you, and you know it well, elections are like dog years. We probably won't be talking about this tax versus fuel debate as much as we are today. Yeah. In 3 weeks' time, it'll feel like a lifetime ago, and we'll be talking about something very different. Yeah,
I think you're right, Yaron. Just before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you about where this campaign goes in terms of nastiness. Because we know that negative campaigns work absolutely, don't they? And Labor's pretty good at it. They're pretty good at the ground game as well. What do you think the Liberals are going to do this time around? And whilst voters want opposition to be brave, look at the opposition leaders that have been brave. Bill Shorten, didn't work out for him.
No, it's a fair observation. On the negativity, I think you're right, because this election really does matter in so many ways for all the parties concerned. So there will be a sense of desperation as they try and tear the other one down. But the opposition obviously has been doing a very good job of framing Anthony Albanese in a whole series of ways, whether it's weak or ineffectual or unfocused on the issues that matter to voters. So you'll hear a lot more about that. And remember, this is a multifaceted campaign. It's not just those two leaders. We have a resurgence of Green activity as they think that they can win more seats. They're going to be pretty aggressive as well. And they're not afraid to get down and dirty on both the Liberals and Labor. So we're seeing a whole lot of combatants on the field of nastiness. I think one thing you'll hear a lot of is that this election matters more than many have for many, many years. And I think that is true. This is a genuinely important election of great consequence.